She looks at the waiting crowd of nobles and says in a low voice, "The baby, he's not right." Inside, the queen is passed out from the pain. Next to her, wrapped in fancy silk, is her newborn son. But he's not like other babies. His face is twisted, his body limp. He doesn't cry. He can't even suck milk. The nurses bow low, and the nobles clap, because this baby is royal. He's a Hapsburg. But deep down, everyone knows, this child looks like a monster. And he's going to wear a crown. This is the shocking start of one of history's darkest royal stories, a tale of inbreeding so bad it destroyed an empire. Welcome to the story of Charles II, the King of Spain who was born broken because his family kept marrying their own relatives. They thought it kept their blood pure, but it really just made everything go wrong. We'll dive deep into how this happened, why the family did it, and what it meant for Spain and the world. This isn't just history, it's a warning about what happens when power and pride mix in dangerous ways. Let's go back in time and see how a mighty dynasty turned into a nightmare. First, let's understand the Habsburg family. They were one of the most powerful families in Europe for hundreds of years. They ruled over places like Spain, Austria, and even parts of Germany and Italy. Their motto was something like, "Let others wage war, you, happy Austria, marry." That meant they got more land and power by marrying into other royal families. But over time, they started marrying inside their own family, cousins to cousins, uncles to nieces. Why? They didn't trust outsiders. They wanted to keep all the power and money in the family. They thought their blood was special, like it came straight from God. But nature doesn't work that way. When close relatives have kids, there's a higher chance of bad things happening to the babies, like health problems or disabilities. Think of it like this: imagine your family tree. Normally, it branches out wide, with new people coming in from marriages. That mixes up the genes, the tiny things inside us that decide how we look and work. Mixing genes is good, it makes us strong and healthy. But the Habsburgs' family tree didn't branch out. It looped back on itself, like a tangled ball of string. Genes that should have been different got doubled up, and bad ones got stronger. Scientists today call this inbreeding. Back then, no one knew about genes or DNA. They just saw the results and ignored them because admitting the truth would mean their whole system was wrong. The Habsburg jaw is a famous example. It's this big, sticking out lower jaw that made it hard for some of them to eat or talk right. It started as a small thing, but with all the inbreeding, it got worse and worse. Some kings couldn't close their mouths properly. Their tongues were too big. They had trouble chewing food. But they hid it. Portraits, those fancy paintings, were made to make them look normal. Artists would paint the jaw smaller or hide it with beards. The family acted like it was a sign of royalty, not a problem. Now, let's talk about how bad it got for the Spanish branch of the Habsburgs. By the 1600s, their inbreeding was extreme. King Philip IV of Spain, Charles II's dad, married his own niece, Mariana of Austria. She was much younger than him. Philip was her uncle, but also kind of like a cousin because the family was so mixed up. They shared way more genes than a normal husband and wife should. In fact, their inbreeding coefficient, a number scientists use to measure how related people are, was higher than if they were brother and sister. That's crazy dangerous for having healthy kids. Philip IV had already had kids from his first marriage, but most of them died young. Only one son survived, but he died early too. So, when Mariana got pregnant, everyone hoped for a strong heir. The court, that's all the fancy people around the king, threw parties and prayed. They thought this baby would save the dynasty. But inside Mariana's belly, things were going wrong. The genes from both sides were too similar, and bad ones piled up. When the baby came out on November 6, 1661, it was clear something was off. The baby, named Charles, had a huge head that looked too big for his tiny body. His jaw stuck out weirdly, like the famous Hapsburg jaw but worse. His tongue was swollen, so he couldn't suck milk from his mom or a nurse. He didn't cry like normal babies. His arms and legs were floppy, like he had no strength. The midwives and doctors whispered that he might not live long. But they couldn't say that out loud. He was the prince, the future king. So, they swaddled him in soft cloths, put him in a golden crib, and told everyone he was fine, just a bit weak. The Queen, Mariana, was exhausted but happy at first. She had done her job, given Spain an heir. But as days turned to weeks, worry set in. Charles couldn't eat properly. They had to feed him with spoons or special tubes. He got sick all the time, fevers, coughs, stomach problems. His bones didn't grow strong. Doctors from all over Europe came to see him. Some said he was cursed. Others said it was bad air or evil spirits. No one talked about the real reason, the family's bad habit of marrying relatives. As Charles grew, or tried to grow, the problems got clearer. He didn't get his first teeth until he was almost 4 years old. Most babies get them around 6 months. He couldn't walk until he was over 5. When he did walk, it was wobbly and slow, like an old man. He tripped a lot. His legs were weak, maybe from something called rickets, where bones don't harden right. But it was more than that. His whole body was a mess from the inbreeding. Talking was hard too. With that big tongue and jaw, words came out slurred. He drooled all the time. Servants had to wipe his chin with cloths every few minutes. He couldn't chew food well, so everything had to be soft or mashed up. Imagine being a king who can't eat a steak or bread without choking. At court banquets, big fancy dinners, Charles sat there, picking at pureed food while everyone else feasted. It was embarrassing, but no one said anything. They pretended it was normal. Mentally, things weren't better. Charles was slow to learn. Tutors tried to teach him reading and writing, but he struggled. He couldn't focus. Loud noises scared him. Bright lights hurt his eyes. He would stare at nothing for hours, like he was in his own world. Sometimes, he got angry for no reason, hitting servants or tearing his clothes. People said he acted like a little kid even when he was older. Ambassadors from other countries wrote letters home saying, "This king is not fit to rule. He seems like a child in a man's body." But why did they keep him as king? Because there was no one else. Philip IV died when Charles was only 4 years old. So, Charles became king right away, but his mom, Mariana, ruled for him as regent. That means she made all the decisions while he was too young or sick. The Hapsburgs had no other heirs. All the brothers and sisters had died or were girls who couldn't take the throne under the rules back then. So, they had to make it work with Charles. They dressed him in fancy clothes, silk robes, gold chains, a big crown. They carried him around in a special chair because he couldn't walk far. Parades and ceremonies showed him off to the people, who cheered because they had to. The palace became a place of secrets and lies. Everyone knew Charles was broken, but saying it out loud could get you in trouble. Servants whispered in hallways. Nobles wrote secret letters. Priests prayed extra hard, thinking maybe God was punishing the family for their sins. Some even said Charles was bewitched, that's why they called him El Hechizado, the bewitched king. They brought in exorcists, people who try to chase out evil spirits. They sprinkled holy water on him, chanted prayers, burned special herbs. One time, they even said a witch had put a spell on him with poisoned chocolate. But none of it helped. The real curse was the family's genes. Let's explain inbreeding more simply. Genes come in pairs, one from mom, one from dad. If mom and dad are closely related, they might both give the kid the same bad gene. Normally, a good gene from one parent can cover up a bad one from the other. But when both are bad, problems happen. For the Hapsburgs, bad genes for jaws, tongues, brains, and bodies built up. Charles got a double dose of everything wrong. Scientists today have studied his family tree. His parents were like uncle and niece, but the inbreeding went back further. His great-grandparents were cousins too. It was like a recipe for disaster. Charles had lots of health issues. Besides the jaw and tongue, he had epilepsy. That's when you have seizures, shaking and losing control. His immune system was weak, so he caught every sickness. His stomach didn't work right. He had diarrhea or constipation all the time. He couldn't control his bowels sometimes, so servants had to clean him like a baby. Imagine being a grown man, a king, and needing that. It was humiliating. As he got older, the court tried to find him a wife. They needed an heir, a son to take over when Charles died. Without one, the dynasty would end, and other countries might fight over Spain. So, when Charles was 18, they married him to Marie-Louise of Orleans. She was from France, pretty and young. But she was scared. When she met Charles, she saw how sick he was. He could barely talk to her. On their wedding night, things didn't go well. Charles didn't know what to do, or his body couldn't. No baby came. They tried for years. Doctors gave him weird medicines, like ground-up pearls or parts from animals. Nothing worked. Charles was sterile, he couldn't make kids. Marie-Louise got sad. She stopped eating much. Some say she died of a broken heart or maybe poison from people who didn't like her. She was only 26. Charles cried a lot at her funeral. He even wanted to sleep next to her dead body. It was creepy and sad. Soon after, they found him another wife, Maria Anna of Neuburg from Germany. She was strong and smart, but the same thing happened. No kids. She tried everything, prayers, doctors, even more exorcisms. But Charles's body was too damaged. By now, Charles looked old even though he was in his 30s. His hair fell out. His skin turned yellow. His legs swelled up like balloons. He couldn't walk without help. Food made him sick, everything had to be pureed and fed to him. He had sores that wouldn't heal. His eyes got cloudy. He forgot things, talked to imaginary people. The court kept pretending. They painted pictures of him looking strong and handsome. But visitors from other countries were shocked. One wrote, "The king looks like he's already dead but still moving." Spain was falling apart too. The empire was huge, it included parts of America, Asia, and Europe. But wars, bad money management, and famines made it weak. Charles couldn't rule, so others fought for power. His mom ruled first, then half-brothers and ministers. Corruption was everywhere. Taxes were high, people were poor. Some blamed Charles's curse for bad luck like failed crops or lost battles. As Charles got closer to death, everyone worried about what would happen next. No heir meant a big fight. France and Austria both wanted the throne because they had family ties. Charles wrote a will saying a French prince should take over. But it was changed many times by people pulling strings. When Charles died on November 1, 1700, at age 38, his body was a wreck. The autopsy, when doctors cut him open, showed horrors. His heart was small and black. His lungs were full of water. His guts were rotten. His testicles were tiny and useless. He weighed less than a normal man. His blood was thick and dark. The funeral was big, but people weren't too sad. They were relieved the nightmare was over. But right away, war started, the War of the Spanish Succession. It lasted 13 years, killed hundreds of thousands, and changed Europe forever. Spain lost land, got weaker. The Hapsburgs in Spain ended. A new family, the Bourbons from France, took over. What can we learn from this? Power isn't everything. Families need fresh blood, new people, to stay healthy. Pride can destroy you. The Hapsburgs thought they were above nature's rules, but they weren't. Charles wasn't a monster, he was a victim. Born into a system that broke him before he even took his first breath. His story is shocking because it's real. A queen gave birth to a son who became king, but inbreeding made him suffer every day. The court lied, the empire crumbled, and history remembers him as the end of an era. Now, let's go deeper. Imagine daily life for Charles. Wake up in a huge bed, servants all around. They wash him because he can't do it alone. Dress him in heavy robes that hide his thin body. Breakfast is mushy food spooned into his mouth. He sits in meetings but doesn't understand much. Ministers talk over him, decide things. Afternoons, maybe a short walk in the garden, but he tires fast. Evenings, prayers and more medicines. Sleep comes with nightmares or seizures. Think about his mom, Mariana. She loved him but used him too. As regent, she had power she wouldn't have otherwise. She protected him from the world, but also hid the truth. When he was little, she rocked him when he cried. As he grew, she signed papers in his name. She fought with nobles who wanted to push her out. Her life was tough, married to her uncle, giving birth to a sick son, ruling a dying empire. And the wives? Marie-Louise came from a happy French court. Suddenly, she's in Spain with a husband who can't be a real partner. She tried to be kind, played games with him, but it was lonely. Rumors said she had affairs, but that's probably not true. She died young, maybe from eating bad food or stress. Maria Anna was different, she bossed people around, tried to get power. But no baby meant failure. She outlived Charles and went back home. The palace, El Escorial, was like a giant tomb. Cold stone walls, dark rooms, echoes everywhere. Priests chanted all day. Incense smoke hid bad smells from Charles's illnesses. Court jesters and dwarfs entertained him, one even called him a corpse king by accident and got punished. Outside the palace, Spain suffered. The 1600s were hard, wars with France and England, lost colonies, empty treasury. People starved while the king lived in luxury. Some rebelled, but soldiers crushed them. Religion was big, the Inquisition hunted heretics. Charles was super religious, or at least they made him seem that way. He collected holy relics, bones of saints, pieces of the cross. He thought they would cure him. Scientists today have looked at Charles's DNA from old records. He had over 200 bad gene mutations. Things like hemophilia, bad blood clotting, kidney problems, hormone issues. His infertility came from that. If he lived now, doctors might help with surgeries or therapy, but back then, nothing. His death sparked the war. Francis Philip V became king, but Austria and others fought it. Battles in Europe, America, even India. Treaties like Utrecht in 1713 redrew maps. Spain lost Gibraltar to Britain, parts of Italy to Austria. It never recovered its old power. Charles's story inspired books, movies, plays. He's a symbol of royal excess. Think Game of Thrones, inbreeding like the Targaryens. But this was real. In the end, the queen who gave birth to a monster didn't know she was ending a dynasty. Mariana just wanted a healthy son. But centuries of bad choices led to Charles. His life was pain, his reign a lie, his death a relief. Remember, no one is above nature. Mix things up, or risk breaking everything. That's the shocking truth of the bewitched king.